Hello, good afternoon. My name is Warner Blumenthal. I am going to be going over a series of 3D printers which can provide full color 3D printing, and also we'll be going over some of the uses of these printers, some of the strong points, and some examples. Okay, so a little bit about WB Engineering. WB Engineering was established back in 2007 with vertical business, with vertical services in product development, product design, also manufacturing and sourcing. We are also a partner with 3D Systems. We sell and support 3D Systems printers for the state of Florida, and we're also an Autodesk partner where we sell and train on all Autodesk software, specifically Inventor and Vault. So WB Engineering actually specializes in product design and development in medical devices, consumer products, mechanical design, and we also do design optimization. So a little bit about 3D Systems. 3D Systems is actually the founder of 3D printing technology. They commercialized SLA 3D printing back in 1988. They also invented selective laser sintering, which is SLS technology, back in 1992. Furthermore, they invented color jet printing, which is what we're going to be covering today. Color jet printing was actually, let me put an asterisk on the end of that, was invented by a company called Z Corp, or Z Corporation, and then they were bought out by 3D Systems. Therefore, now the history books will state that 3D Systems invented color jet printing. Next accomplishment was they invented multi-jet printing back in 1996, which was a couple webinars that we spoke about. Okay. So, real quick question for our audience today. I just want to see where we're at so we can kind of cater the presentation to our audience. So what we want to know is, are you currently using 3D printing? If so, are you using it in-house? Are you using it as outsourced, both, or you do not use 3D printing at all? So I'll give you a couple more seconds to answer, and then we will be moving forward with the presentation. Okay, I'm going to be moving forward. Just give it a couple more seconds for some people to answer. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that poll. Now, so today we're going to be talking about our Project X60 series of professional printers. They are primarily used for high color, high fidelity 3D printing. They're very, very affordable to 3D print on, and they're extremely fast, one of our fastest printers. So here's a quick video of how, or a little bit of background about our X60 3D printers.
With everyone talking about 3D printing, let us show you what our 3D printers can do for you.
Our Project 260C allows me to get practical, hands-on experience in the classroom.
Our Project 660 Pro allows us to make models like this transmission gearbox in just a few iterations.
Our Project 460 Plus helps me to better communicate my design intent with clients.
From educational institutions and architectural firms to consumer goods manufacturers and media and entertainment companies, organizations of all sizes rely on the Project X60 printers to bring products to market faster and communicate concepts more clearly. Project X60 series includes a comprehensive range of printers to meet your design needs. Whether you require quick, monochrome parts for conceptual modeling or realistic, full-color designs to win business, we have the right 3D printer for your application. Based on ColorJet modeling technology, the Project X60 series 3D printers can build full-color, realistic models in virtually any color combination, which truly resemble the final part. Improve communication both internally with colleagues and externally with clients to convey the finished look of the part, finite element analysis results, manufacturing steps, or separate parts of an assembly. With the fastest vertical build speed in this class, you can create models in just hours instead of days. Now you can even stack and nest parts to optimize throughput and productivity while taking advantage of the entire build chamber. With automated setup and recycling, the Project X60 printers fit into any office or education environment, making it the ideal machine for professionals and students alike. The new Project X60 printers also expand your flexibility with the new mobile controls, letting you monitor your printer from virtually anywhere. Having a 3D printed model in your hands the same day is easier than ever. Simply load the 3D data into the 3D print software on your PC, and the system will automatically check the material supplies and printer readiness. When ready, just click print, and watch as the part builds from the bottom up, layer by layer, one cross-section at a time. It really is that easy. See how you can shorten your product development cycle, avoid costly early design errors, and communicate more clearly with the Project X60 3D printers, and even have some fun.
Okay, that was a quick overview of our full color 3D printing capabilities. So why would you want to choose an X60 ProJet printer over any of our other 3D printers? Well, one is full color printing, right? So we have full CMYK color capabilities. It has the highest throughput in terms of professional level printing. We have some large SLS production printers that can output even more parts, but in the realm of professional printers and build size, this is an extremely fast printer. It's also easy to use and affordable, right? So unlike our SLS systems, which don't do full color, they also are sub $100,000 in some cases. So that's a much more affordable set of printers in comparison to other color printers, and also in terms of speed and color quality. So again, primarily the reason why you want to look at an X60 printer is, one, affordable in terms of building, and then second, more significant, is the fact that you have full color 3D printing, right? So there's a lot of applications that require color in order to properly communicate an idea, and the Project X60 line will help you out with that. We have some examples in-house. We have several different 3D printers. We use them day in and day out to help develop and prototype products for our customers. And in some cases, we need the high resolution of one of our other multi-jet printers. In other cases, we need the full color capabilities of our X60 printers in order to communicate designs over to our customers, also to make critical decisions about the design and the project as we're going along. Sometimes X60 is the one that we need to use, either be it because of its speed, affordable methodology of printing out large parts, or its color capabilities. So continuing on the color, it actually has the capability to produce 90+% of the colors that are found in Adobe Photoshop at extremely high resolution, right? So these are really high resolution 3D printers that can produce 600 dpi images on your part, and therefore, if you're trying to communicate not only shape but color as well, these printers are definitely something you want to look at. So full color printing, it's we have photo-like quality in all 3 dimensions, right? So it's the largest full color parts possible today. You don't have to change over material or have extremely slow build times like some of the other color printers you'll see out there. And then we have the most availability in terms of color with WCMYK capabilities. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and ask another question of our audience today. Just want to make sure that, again, we're on the right page here. So we want to know if anybody's currently looking into buying a 3D printer. So essentially we want to find out, are you looking to buy a 3D printer relatively soon in the next 30 days? Are you looking and starting to budget for something within the next 6 months, a year? Or also, are you just doing research, or are you just simply just coming along for the ride and listening to our webinar? So I'll give you guys a couple more seconds to go ahead and answer that poll, and I'll be moving forward. Okay, looks like we have some of our votes in. I'm just going to let the remainder chime in. Okay. Thank you very much. So moving forward. So with our X60 printers, we have 5 custom formulated binders. We have 2 color settings, one being vibrant, the other one being pastel. And then this gives you the capability to make full color parts. As you notice in the image we show on this presentation, the one on the left was actually printed in vibrant mode. The one on the right printed in pastel mode. So why would you choose one over the other? Well, vibrant actually infuses a part with a little bit more color pigment, and it actually takes a little bit longer to print, where with a pastel it's kind of like a draft mode that will allow you to actually 3D print something faster at less of a cost because you're using less of the color binder. So this is just to kind of push the point a little bit further, right? You know, you can describe something with words, say this is a 5-prong 10-amp plug, and you can even come up with like nice photoreal renderings, etc. But then if you have a physical model, it's way easier for you to communicate your idea because you do have a one-to-one or even a scale model at your disposal to hand out, see if it actually fits, communicate some issues. One example that we've used 3D printing for, and it's been extremely successful, are for ergonomic models, right? So when we design and develop products for our customers, they like to look at something on a screen, they like to look at photoreal renderings, but at the end of the day, if it's something that they have to actually hold in their hand while performing some kind of action or to find out comfort, etc., there's no way to do that without an actual physical model. So the fastest and most effective way that we found to produce physical mock-ups is using 3D printing. And again, we pick and choose our battles depending on what we're trying to prove or get across to our customer. But in most cases, we do go to our ProJet X60 line of printers to print out something that's quick, affordable, and we can also add color to it so that the customer can get a much better idea of what their final product is going to entail. Okay, so this, again, just to push it, this has the highest throughput in terms of professional printers. You have extremely fast printing times, very, very large build volume in terms of professional level printing with high resolution. For example, you can actually, in one of our larger capacity X60 printers, you can print 96 full-size baseballs in one single build. The build plate on our larger units is 20 by 15 by 9 inches. You can stack parts, nest parts, and the speed is actually not affected as much as you would see on some other types of technologies, specifically FDM, where if you have one part, let's say it's 4 hours, 2 parts it's 8. In our scenario, 1 part's 4, 2 parts might be 6, 3 parts might be 7. So it's not a additive function of time when you start adding multiple parts. So again, this is just to kind of push a point of speed, right? This is one of the faster 3D printers that exists today. Print speed. So this type of printer is good to get you concept models in hours as opposed to days, right? So if you compare to other 3D printers out there, including others provided by 3D Systems. This is one of the faster printers. It's actually up to 10 times faster than a competing technology that actually uses color. So therefore, if you're looking for speed, something that you can put in the morning, get out in the afternoon, this is the only printer currently available with full color that can give you that kind of capability. It also prints 1 to 4 layers per minute, depending on what mode, what colors mode you're in. Also, you can fabricate and add colors all in one step. So all of these colors are added during the 3D printing process, not afterwards. And then you also have a draft mode that actually produces things 35% faster. So for example, this is a handle to an actual drill or sander, I believe, actually, I'm sorry. And this entire part was built in 2 hours on a Projet X60. That is extremely fast, because if we were to throw this on any of our other 3D Systems printers, depending on the technology, it's not going to be anywhere near 2 hours. We're talking about, maybe let's say we talk about our Projet 3600, which is actually now 2 times faster than its predecessor. We're still looking at something that's going to take the majority of a workday, right? Maybe 6 hours, 7 hours, where with the Projet X60, it's actually significantly faster in terms of build time. Next up is just kind of comparing, right? If we were to print these 5 parts on a Projet 660 Pro and then compare it to one of our competitors, which would be an Objet 30 Pro, you're looking at 9.75 hours for these 5 parts to be printed out, where on draft mode, if you go to Vibrant now, it jumps to 16.5 hours. But then if you compare that to other technologies, now all of a sudden you are magnitudes faster, right? In this scenario, 3 and let's say 1/2 times faster than a Objet Pro if you're printing out in Vibrant mode, then a little bit over 5 times faster if you're printing in draft mode. So easy to use, right? So these printers are significantly easy to use. Now, I just want to be 100% clear to our audience. I speak as not only a reseller, but also as a user. So I like to speak a little bit about the details that some salespeople like to avoid, but I like to be 100% clear. We do have 3D printers that are easier and less laborious in order to post-process than these, specifically the Projet 3600. So if you're looking for something that's hands-free, you don't have to worry about post-processing or learning curve on it, you want to look at our Projet 3600s. Now, if you're willing to put in just a little bit of work, it's not, I don't want to scare you away from this technology either, then this is actually a very good technology, because you can do things very quickly, very inexpensively as well. So this is actually a safe and office-friendly printer. Now, I'll put an asterisk on office-friendly. Let's all be very honest with ourselves. This is a powder printer. If you are a messy person, it is going to be a messy machine, and you are going to have issues with not only print quality, but then also with the fact that your room's going to be full of powder, right? So you do have to be clean. That said, though, we do have one of these printers in an office setting. We are very clean with it, therefore it is office friendly. I do have some clients which do not follow that cleanliness that we have here, and it does turn into quite a mess, right? So it's only as clean as you make it. That's the only thing I wanted to mention. So the other thing is they're quiet, they're safe, and when you're printing, they're odor-free, right? The odor-free part, again, I want to put an asterisk on the end of it. When you're post-processing, we do have some solvents, it's called adhesives that you dip your part in. That does have some fumes. Imagine crazy glue. We do have a Pro Bench with a hood that allows you to contain those fumes. But I just want to make it clear that when you do post-processing, you will get some fumes. During printing, though, no fumes, not a big deal. Also, all-in-one options available for built-in printing, core recycling, and finishing, right? So with the 660 Pro, you have the built-in core recycling and post-processing in the machine itself. Therefore, it's all contained, it's all nice and clean, you don't get a bunch of dust everywhere. We do have other 3D printer options that have the cleaning station separate, so you do have to move the part from point A to point B. Therefore, be careful, it could get a little dusty, etc. All right, simple control and monitoring, right? So we have 3D Edit Pro, the software that comes with our ProX 60 printers. You can actually add the color directly inside of 3D Edit Pro. You can put logos, you can put QR codes, labeling, just color different things. So there's a lot of editing involved in there. Furthermore, 3D Edit Pro allows you to add holes so that if you want to recover, let's say if you're printing out a globe, it's a large 10-inch in diameter globe, it's a big sphere, it has a lot of material on the inside. If you wanted to save all of that and just print out the shell of the globe, you don't even have to design the part like that. You just simply bring it into 3D Edit Pro, add a drain hole, and then when you post-process it, just blow out the air, the core from the inside, and therefore now all of a sudden, instead of, let's say, using a pound of material, you're using 1/10 of that because you're only doing the shell of it. So it's very convenient like that. Also, we have 3D print software. The 3D print software allows you to set the parts inside of your build volume, monitor the printer, modify your orientations of your parts, nest parts, etc. The beauty of this is that you don't actually have to worry about building supports. You also don't have to worry about build orientation. I always suggest make it the lowest Z orientation as possible just to work with build speed. But in all honesty, the difference between one orientation and the other in terms of geometry and color are very, very slim to none. So therefore, you don't have to worry about how you orient the parts. You just simply have to put the parts inside the build volume and hit print and you're on your way. So it's not a huge learning curve with these. Furthermore, the 3D system has simplified it significantly with giving you mobile device access, right? So you can connect to your printer remotely. You can see the status of all the materials. You can start and stop, pause builds. You can also set alerts for if there's some kind of build error during your build. There's also for build completions, things like that. So now you're connected with your printer at all times if you'd like to, and you can manage it remotely. So you don't actually have to be on site to control this. So let me just go through another poll real quick, see if everybody's out there still paying attention. So now we want to know, what are your intentions for a 3D printer? Are you going to be using it for prototyping, for end-use products? We have some 3D printers that you can use for casting, and actually in this scenario you can use this for the sand casting process. Some people want to use it for tooling, and other people just have other applications that we're not aware of, right? There could be some people that are using this for something that we haven't even thought of yet, which is actually one of the more fun situations that you get put in, because you get asked these questions all the time. Can I use it for this? Can I use it for that? A lot of times the answer is, I don't know, we haven't tried that before. So it's exciting to see how 3D printing is being used by our customers. So I'll give you a couple more seconds to finish answering, and I'm going to close the poll here. Okay, looks like we have almost everybody, so I'll just go ahead and close that. Thank you very much. Okay, so the other thing is the printer itself. So let's talk about a little bit about the printer itself. The printers are easy to use. I mean, it's kind of reminds me of an old school iPod where you had that one dial on the front and then you just have to push it in to select. Well, that's essentially how the menu works on one of these printers, right? So you have a very easy user interface, a knob that you scroll through different commands, press in to select, and that's about all you have to really do. Also, this printer is affordable, right? So I keep on saying affordable. It's because when you print out parts, your cost of ownership on this machine is significantly less than even any of the other technologies that 3D Systems offers, let alone when you compare it to other professional level 3D printers. You actually, pound for pound, are spending a lot less per cubic inch on one of these printers than you are on any of our other units. So if you want, relatively large, medium size prints, full color, bulky parts, and you don't want to run up a huge bill on material costs, you want to look at this printer, right? It does have its limitations, right? So the ProX line of printers is a plaster-based printer, so therefore your parts do come out rock solid. You don't get any pliability or malleability in your parts. You get a very, very dense, hard part at the end of the day. So if you're looking for tough parts, you could look at this, but you do not want to use an X60 printer for any type of flexible or snap fit applications. This is just not the printer to look at. Full color, large, inexpensive parts, that's where you want to start looking at X60. So, low cost of consumables allow for more concepts to be tested. This is true through and through. We do this all the time here at our office. We have a couple ideas we're throwing around. Best bet is to just throw these on the printer, see which one actually works when you have it in your hands. So that's one of the big pluses we have here at WB Engineering when we're designing things for our customers, or for even as demo parts for some of our potential customers. Requires minimal training, no expertise to operate. This is, again, very true. These printers, unlike the 3600 line, do require a little bit of user maintenance between prints, but that is very, very minimal training. We will train your staff when we do go install the printer. When we do install the printer, we'll show you how to set it up, clean it out, and set it up for the next printer. So it's very easy to use, and again, no expertise is required. You can teach the next person this within an hour or less. Automated setup and self-monitoring, right? So it does know how much material it has left. The automated setup is you can basically just drop a bunch of parts into the build volume, hit auto orient, and it orients the parts, and you're good to go. So if you can send something to your 2D printer, chances are you can send something to this printer. Again, speed 1 to 4 layers per minute, and you can produce multiple models in a single build by stacking or nesting them. In some cases, you don't even have to stack or nest them. You just put side by side, and you can continue printing that way. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more specifically cost of these parts. So you're running anywhere between $2.50 to $10 a cubic inch. You can print out things in draft mode where it's going to cost you less. One, because it's using a little bit less infill. Other things you can do is monochrome, so you're using less pigment. You can do vibrant parts or parts with a lot of surface area. Those are the ones that are going to start running you a little bit more expensive, just because you're using a lot more of the binder and a lot more of the color. So the cost does range, but all in all, you are getting a very inexpensive part with these kinds of printers. So now let's compare these 3D printers, the powder-based or plaster-based printers that we have to offer. If you print that same part on some of our other technologies and or some of our competitors. So you'll notice at the top of this chart we have 3DP plaster. That would be the printer that we're talking about right now, which is a color jet printer. You can print either monochrome or full color. When you compare that across the board with any other printers, right? So if you talk about professional level FDM printers, for example, with this scenario, we're talking about a part that's going to cost you, let's just estimate that the first chart on the left, the part's going to cost us about $150 if we're printing out on a plaster-based printer or a color jet printer. When you look at it on a professional FDM printer, you're looking at over $900 worth of material, let's say about $1,000 in some cases. When you look at SLS printers, you could get up to $3,000 for a part this size. So we're talking about $150 compared to multiples more expensive when you're looking at other technologies. So again, very inexpensive large parts can be made on this. We look at the next chart, we're talking about a part that's roughly about $25. And again, you notice that it's multiples more in terms of cost when you look at other technologies. So another poll question. Let's see what we can ask now. So now we just want to know, do you already have a budget, right? Are you still justifying it? Do you not have a budget yet, etc.? And if you do have a budget, what range are you in, right? Because there's this technology does range in price depending on its capability, whether it be volume, whether it be color availability. We do have different models to cater to different needs and budgets, right? So There's the more entry-level printer is sub $50,000, whereas our large ProJet 860 is now between the $100,000 to $250,000 range that we state there. So I'm just curious, is this something that is realistic for you to bring in-house? And if it's not, no problem. We offer this as a service. We can 3D print parts for you on demand. That way you don't have to worry about bringing this in-house, or if you're still trying to get used to the technology. So I'll just wait a couple more seconds and I'll be closing out the polls. Okay. Okay, so this is another quick video, kind of redundant, but it does have some extra detail in here that I want to show in terms of how the printer works. Okay, so I hope that video helped you understand a little bit more about the post-processing of these parts. You notice in one of the instances the person was actually blowing off the excess powder that was contained within the machine itself, and then they had to actually put it into an infiltrant to really make the colors pop and then also to finish hardening the part. So finishing options. We have a couple different finishing options. The differences are, the first one is color bond infiltrant. It gives you an instant cure. It's really good for improving color, strength, and vibrancy of the colors, right? Then you have Strength Max. This is so that you can get extremely hard parts for functional parts, right? So I've seen actually people make skateboards out of these printers. Once they use the Strength Max, it can actually hold somebody's weight and skate on it, etc. So you get very, very tough parts using the Strength Max infiltrant. Then for more eco-friendly, hazardous, or non-hazardous way to post-process these parts, specifically if it's in an educational application, no fumes or anything like that, you want to use the saltwater cure infiltrant. It's good for monochrome parts and draft color. It's not going to make the colors pop just like the other infiltrants do, but again, it's not a toxic process. It also provides additional hardness and it also helps, finish making the part tough. But again, if you want really hard, vibrant parts, you're looking at Strength Max or Color Bond. The saltwater cure, we offer that as a less hazardous or hazard-free version of the post-processing, specifically for educational type applications. This is our full line of 3D printers in terms of the Pro X60 line. So our most popular line by far is the 660 Pro. Followed by the 460 Plus. The reason being is because they give very nice build size, additionally very nice colors, and they have the built-in finishing station. When you get up to the ProJet 860, it's another additional contained unit that does basically the same thing as the 660 Pro has attached to it, but it's a separate unit. It does also provide much larger parts as well. A couple things to pay attention to are all the even numbered printers. Those are full color or color printers. All the odd ones are monochrome. So we have the 160 and the 360 are monochrome, but the rest, the 260, 460, 660, and 860, those are color. Specifically the 660 and 860 Pro, those are full color. So those are CMYK printers, which do have a dedicated black line. So if you're very, very adamant that you want the best color that the market can offer, you are looking at the 660 Pro or the 860. So these are the only full color 3D printers, right? There are other color printers that do offer a variety of colors, but this is full CMYK printing. So this is legit full color printing. Also, it's 5 to 10 times faster than other professional printers. We noted that on some of our other slides earlier, and it's a fraction of the cost as well, as we noted on some of the previous slides. So affordability, this is the way to go. Full color, this is the way to go. Okay, one more question. So now that we spoke a little bit about the printers, you know, just ranging from small to big, we just want to see what printer best suits your needs. So just to update you, what we're looking at here is the 260C, is a smaller color printer, all the way up to the 860 Pro, which is a larger full color printer. Just curious to see which one do you think would best suit your need? Do you need very large parts? Do you need that CMYK coloring? Then you need to go with the 660 or the 860. If full CMYK is not that important, or you're not going to be printing out very many parts with dark black true colors, then you can go with 460 plus or the 260C. Specifically the 260C if you don't need very large parts. So there's a range there. Also the 360 could be your option because you're not interested so much in the color, but you are interested in large, you know, good resolution parts that don't cost you a bunch and they're printed out very fast. So 360 would be maybe something you want to look at there. So I'll go ahead and close these polls. Looks like almost everybody answered there. Okay, so these are some examples of conceptual modeling with a color jet printer, right? So when you look at color jet printing, it has very, very good properties in terms of showing you what a product's going to look like at the end of the day without a bunch of laborious prototyping, you know, sanding, painting, you know, all those different aspects that would come into actually producing a very small or precise mock-up of your product, right? So in this example, we have our 3D printed version on the left and then the actual toothbrush on the right. Notice obviously the white is a little bit more bone color off of our 3D printers. It's not white. But then also we have nice blue color there. So we can replicate the finished product very closely without actually having to put in a bunch of manual labor, which is nice. The next thing is consumer electronics, right? So Cisco actually uses a ProJet X60 printer, specifically the 460, to make concept models of their electronics, housings, and things like that. So it's actually helped them reduce prototyping time, and they actually produce about 10 prototypes per week, which allows them to iterate extremely quickly with that, what they claim to be 1/5 the cost of their traditional methodology for producing each one of those prototypes. So, you know, producing quick iterative design changes is key to compressing your design cycle and also finding room for improvement, right? Because a lot of times designs are pushed by timeline and budget. If you can get more options, more designs, more checks, more iterations in the same amount of time with the same budget, you are obviously ahead of the game when you talk to somebody who doesn't have access to that, right? So if a customer gives us $20,000 in 5 weeks, we can actually, you know, prototype several times within that time period while keeping the budget intact with our design and with our prototyping. So therefore, again, it just gives you the ability to fail early and often. That way, at the end of the day, you still meet the deadline within budget, and you have a great product. This is another one for aesthetics and ergonomics. This is courtesy of Black & Decker. So the conceptual design of a housing was printed on a Projet 360. In their scenario, they don't care about color. They just wanted large, fast, inexpensive prototypes. Therefore, they went with the Projet 360 in this case study. So they needed fast, cost-effective parts for early conceptual models. They said in their scenario, it actually shortened up the design process by 75%, which is huge. So they were able to get to market basically 4 times faster than if they would have without having access to 3D printing. Why? Because they can make very quick, very accurate, fast, inexpensive prototypes from one day to the next to communicate their design, to test their design, etc. So there's something that needs to be noted there, that 3D printing, yes, I know it's a upfront capital investment. We had to make that capital investment not only as a design company, but also as a partner with 3D Systems, which had us purchase several 6-figure printers to have the luxury to be able to be a reseller for 3D Systems. But that investment has paid itself off many times over, being that we actually design products day in and day out, and without these 3D printers, honestly, we wouldn't be competitive. And we wouldn't be able to get the projects that we need to get out in a timely fashion, or would be able to compete with other people that would have access to this technology and we don't. Okay, so another one is courtesy of Timberland USA. This is a shoe company, footwear company that actually designs and iterates using a Projet X60 as well. So in their scenario, they like color, right? So they wanted something that was fast, very affordable, a full color printer. That way they can have parts that look like their product at the end of the day. In their scenario, they were able to reduce their design cycle by 33%, which is very significant, right? So you're able to hack off 1/3 of your design cycle, and also now they produce 30-fold reduction in prototyping cost, right? So that is a significant cost reduction, right? So in their scenario, their printer paid for itself with the first project, which is kind of typical of what we see. If we see customers that can properly, or if we can guide our customer to a printer that can accomplish their goals efficiently, a lot of the times they can justify and pay for a printer with the first product that's lined up if they get the full use out of their 3D printer. So now we're going to get into some conceptual modeling cases. In this scenario, this is one of my favorite, being an engineer. This is courtesy of Pratt & Miller. They wanted to evaluate their decisions that they were doing in terms of mechanical design. What they did, they actually ran a finite element analysis on a certain part inside of their Corvette, and then they actually printed the results on a 3D part. Therefore, they can actually hand around the part and actually see in 3D, in their hand, the actual physical model to see where it's actually going to start fatigue and start to fail. So this was printed with deformation and with stress colors. That way people can better understand how their part's going to react under stress. The next one is Hankook Tires from Korea. They are a tire company, and what they do is they actually print out the pattern of their tires on their Projet 660 Pro in this scenario. In this scenario, they actually were able to improve decision-making process and shorten meeting length by 70% using this kind of printer. Why? Because you're able to hand over the tire tread that you're talking about as opposed to just showing it on a screen, which is huge. They wanted to be able to make faster, cheaper, accurate models. Therefore, 3D printing was kind of the way to go. Not to mention, in their scenario, confidentiality was extremely important, right? So we have some customers that maybe they can't justify it because they're not printing out multiple models a week, and they're not, using it to its full potential. But just the risk of sending your data out is enough to justify a printer itself. One good example is the Armed Forces. We have sold to several different branches in the Armed Forces, They do not use these printers very often, at least in some of the scenarios that we installed them, but for them, keeping everything confidential is paramount, so therefore bringing this kind of technology in-house is completely necessary. In this scenario, we're talking about scale models, right? So scale models is a very big niche for these Projet X60 printers. In this scenario, this company makes very large-scale machines that they can't just lug around for sales meetings. So now what they do is they actually print out scale models of the mock-ups of the customer's machine configuration, and then they'll give it to their salesperson to go to the sales office, on the sales call with an actual scaled mock-up of the actual product the customer is trying to purchase, and therefore now they have a very good sales tool in their hand to help push the sales cycle forward. So they've been able to shorten their sales cycle using 3D printing. So 3D printing, again, it's not just to prototype and develop products like we use. You can also use it for promotional or sales material as well. We have worked with large marketing companies to do custom invitations. We've also done, some we'd call it, I guess, installations at certain events where we'll 3D print certain widgets to bring attention and awareness to a certain brand. So 3D printing is being used for a wide range of applications, not just product development. This is another very nice application, which is surgery planning, essentially, right? So communication between patients and doctor, also between doctor and staff, it can be done via 3D printing as well. So now what you can do is you can actually get the DICOM data from MRI or CT, and then you can color it, or you can get the 3D model color off of that data as well. And then you can print in full 3D color. So now you can actually make full scale or even scale models that helps assist in communication for surgery practice and for communication with the patient itself. We've done a couple of these models here locally. The doctor is very impressed. It's also very nice to be able to help out in terms of healthcare. We have, actually in the next room over, we have a gentleman's heart with an abnormality 3D printed in full color, and that was used to assist during the surgery process here in Miami. Okay, so vaccine research. So again, just more communication of models, right? We see these very complex models on a screen. They could be 3D, they could be animated, etc. But until you actually see the part in your hand, you can rotate it yourself. There's just, you remove the machine interface that sometimes can be restrictive in terms of understanding the model. So this just kind of expedites communication. Another one is from a pottery company in the UK. They were actually able to do review of their models in 2 hours versus 4 weeks, which is huge, right? So you can just imagine if you're able to see prototypes within a couple of hours as opposed to waiting 4 weeks. It makes product launches much easier to attain, and also the cost is far less because you don't have to wait 4 weeks to see whether or not your idea worked or didn't work, or you need to tweak, etc. And then if you have to actually go back and do it again, you can just imagine how much more time and cost that adds to it. Okay, so moving on. So large machine scaled sales and marketing models, right? So this is more of the first initial example that we showed. In this scenario, they actually took these to trade shows. It was a really good sales tool, and they were able to compress their design cycle 25 to 30%. We've done this kind of application for some of our customers as well. Actually, one of our Autodesk customers creates very large water filtration devices. They wanted to have something for a show. We printed a full-scale model, a scaled model of one of their full product lines, and now they have a nice demo kit to take around to different trade shows so that they can actually show their customer firsthand what is what is it that they're purchasing, how it works, sectional views to educate customers, etc. So powerful sales tool. So now this is another one that comes from scale models and reconstruction, logistics, and planning. So this is basically what they're doing is they're 3D printing a bunch of different parts so that they can actually plan and practice the reconstruction of it because they're delicate artifacts that they do not want to damage, misplace, or anything like that. So now, this is one of the more obvious applications for 3D printing, which is AEC, architectural and construction. This is where the X60 has shined and continues to be one of our biggest environments to sell into with the X60s are architectural scale models. So why would you want to do this for architectural scale models? Well, because it's you can do early massing models, you can detail your models, you can review your models as you're designing them, you can do clash detections, you can even check lighter, solar, and energy analysis, and also construction phasing. So we sell a software called Navisworks, which helps people better understand how to bring in and out new equipment that they might have purchased for their factory floor, or logistics on how to move things around a factory floor. Well, you can use that in conjunction with actual 3D models to 3D print your factory floor and or items that are going on there and see how you want to move things, logistically place them, etc. So again, you can do this digitally, but physically it's just so much more productive, interactive, and fast. This is another example of scale models. So this is 1/6 the time of handcrafting it. So if you're doing these things by hand, you can just imagine the amount of labor that you're paying for. If you actually just 3D print it, it's going to take 1/6 the time, not to mention the cost as well. It's going to be much, much less. So you can add a tremendous amount of details to these as well, right? So you can see the image on the bottom right of your slide of the actual part, and then the top right is of the 3D printed part. Again, detailed exteriors, right? So you can put bit maps and different types of textures, etc., to really communicate your design. The full colors, the CMYK allows you to do, very intricate patterns. That way you can do, very nice, realistic scale models with limited effort. Again, more architectural models, right? So time and cost savings are huge. You can do details from 1.2 to 2 centimeters tall, being the size of the humans that we have here in the design, and you can do very intricate designs very quickly. So you have multiple sales sites. You don't have to pay a company to make this part 3 times over with all that labor, all that time, etc. You can literally just 3D print 3 times and then be on your way. Again, this is a little bit more about how you can better understand your designs, and also it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. They're very inexpensive to 3D print on. You can also show a little bit more about design reviews and scale models, right? So imagine just showing up to a table with an actual scale model of your 3D part as opposed to a 2D flat presentation. So it's very, very impressive. It's not a bunch of added labor either. The next thing is speed, speed, affordability, and details. So the complexity of 3D printed parts does not hinder the speed of the 3D printed part. So complexity is what we like to call free in terms of 3D printing. You add an extra hole, you add an extra, door, another window, more terrain. All of that's going to be printed just as easily as if it were a square block. This is actually an example here in Miami. You can add different types of colors, right? So colors help with communication significantly as well. Conceptual phase modeling, right? So you can print out different models, start bringing them into a larger floor plan and start building accordingly. 3D printed landscapes, so you can do different types of landscapes, large format, scale models of cities. There's 1/1000th scale of a city in Japan, which is made of 24 pieces. You can create this in hours instead of weeks, so therefore, your cost is significantly less. So now this one, again, just more examples of what you can produce with monochrome printing. Obviously, the little palm trees in here, I think those were actually added after the fact, but the monochrome printing is something that can be done very inexpensively. This is one example of form-fit testing. This is actually done on an X60 printer. This was 3D printed high-flow exhaust pipe and manifold installed onto a vehicle to ensure that the shape of the configuration was exact right fit, right? So you want to make sure that things fit before you actually go to production. That's what 3D printing is here for, right? Complex parts are free in terms of complexity for 3D printing. So instead of machining something, if you add another curve, another thread, another hole, it adds cost. 3D printing, none of that adds cost. Literally, you're only going by scale. In this scenario, 80% time savings was acquired via 3D printing it, as opposed to having to make the model in another way. So they saved a lot of time and money with this. So yeah, that's basically our presentation today. So I'm running up against the 3 o'clock line soon. If you have any questions, please feel free. We can go ahead and answer those for you. I think I have, no, it doesn't look like I have any questions right now. But if you have any questions, feel free to put in. Oh wait, it looks like I do have. So one of the questions that we have here is, what are the minimum wall thickness? So, I'm sorry, layer thickness. So the X60s actually print in 4/1000ths of an inch layer thicknesses. That's not to say that you can actually produce a 4/1000ths of an inch thick part. Therefore, you have to really pay attention to the geometry here. It's an unsupported thin layer material. I mean, you can go down to maybe a millimeter. I wouldn't suggest going much thinner than that because you might have some structural integrity at that point. So if you're going for very, very thin walls, very, very thin, intricate geometry, the X60 might not be the one to look at. You might want to look at a 3D printer like our multi-jet printers if you're really looking for high res. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening in on our webinar. This is the end of our webinar, and thank you very much for contacting us. I'm sorry, for joining us for our webinar here. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at sales@wb-3d.com, and then also at our phone number here, 305-756-4401. Again, this is Warner, and thank you for joining us at WB for this webinar. You can call us 305-756-4401. If you have any other questions, feel free to relay them that way. And thanks again. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week.